Welcome to the You Heard podcast, your go-to for Miami Hurricanes football. Ben, Joe, Hope, and CB break down recruiting, hot topics, and game day action.
All right, we'll talk about it at the end.
No, let's talk about this right now because you completely flipped it on me now.
I hate him for knowing this, bro. This man knew the brand, dog.
Okay, I don't appreciate that. I'm saying like,
what are we talking about, son?
Get into it, talk. I felt
Keeping it a buck.
Let me close these curtains real quick.
You heard.
Hey, listen. Y'all know what it is. It's Wednesday night, a lovely, lovely Wednesday night wherever you guys are at. I hope everyone is doing well. I do have 3 other co-hosts, but as you can see, I'm the only one working this evening. So, you know. And what's going on, brother? We'll get your questions in. 8-1 Cali Kane, my guy. I hope everything is doing well. We'll have a lot more in here soon enough. Listen, we have a special guest this evening. We're going to discuss Carson Beck. We're going to discuss some other QBs. But we have someone, very, very special. The creator of BTruQBTraining. He's sponsored by the #1 sports drink and Body Armor, the #1 Christian influencer brand, and I Am Second. He has coached and trained over 41 D1 QBs, including our own class of 2026, Darion Coleman. He's coached 6 pro QBs. He's trained at the Elite 11 regionals, regional camps. And he's a well-known, he's well-known. Everybody knows this man. Coach Baylin Trujillo. How you doing, brother?
Doing well, man. Can't complain. God is good, and things are rolling right now, man. This is we're getting ready for the spring, and this is the most exciting part about my business because now college coaches are recruiting my kids, and it's fun. It's a fun time.
Yes. I love the room back there. So we know you're throwing up that you're a Kane fan. How long have you been a Kane fan your whole life?
My whole life since I was born. My dad grew up in Coral Gables. He went to Coral Gables High School, so that's where the connect comes. My parents met at UCF. That's where my dad played football, but he was born and raised in Miami. His brother and his sister both live in Miami still. My uncle lives in Doral, and my aunt lives 2 blocks from the University of Miami. So every time we go there, I'm always on campus. So I got to experience the old Orange Bowl as a kid, and that just the environment. And I grew up in a really good era because, I was born in 92. So I got to see some of the 90s as a kid with my friends that I talked trash with that were Florida State and Florida fans, the early 2000s. So that's when Miami was obviously top 5 in the country every single year. So it grew on me, man. And I was more of a Hurricane fan than a Dolphins fan, a Marlins fan, or fan, all these pro teams in Miami. But there was something about that orange and green, and I couldn't get away from it as a kid, and so that was always the dream. And I got to play against them in 2011 when I played at USF. We played against Miami at USF. It was the Wounded Warrior Project game. We lost 6-3. Weird game, but I got to face Ja'Cory Harris for the second time because I got to play against him in high school in the state championship my sophomore year when he was at Northwestern. I played at Boone, so I got to see a lot of those guys, Garrett Johnson, company, Sean Spence, Marcus Forston, some names that a lot of Canes fans remember. I got to play against, and then my junior year, I got to play against Dyron Dye and Ray Armstrong. State that year we lost in the state semi. So Hurricane's been a part of my blood, and that's my passion, man. And I've been blessed enough to train in this profession for 11 years. Never had a Hurricane quarterback until last summer, where my boy Dereon Coleman became a Hurricane. So I take pride in that, and I think he might be the best quarterback probably that I've ever trained when it's all said and done, if he just sticks to the plan and hopefully wins a national title or a couple for me as a fan, and also under my my training. So
absolutely. So let's jump right into it. You mentioned Dereon Coleman, 2026 commit. Talk to us about his strengths, and everybody can work on something. We have to work on stuff every day. But what do you see? What pops out immediately when you watch Darion?
The arm talent. I mean, it's the best arm talent I ever trained. I mean, I know you've probably seen podcasts, a lot of Hurricane fans that follow, obviously, recruiting and love watching this type of stuff. They've seen me on multiple different podcasts from Miami, and all I really talk about is the arm talent. And he is the best arm talent I've ever trained, not because of what he can do with the arm, but because of the mechanics that he has with his whole entire body and being able to use his whole body in his throw, which is very important, especially, as he was growing up. He's not the biggest kid. I'm talking about muscular wise. I mean, he's 165 to 170 pounds. He fluctuates in between that. But now he's about 6'1.5", almost 6'2". And, a lot of these recruiting sites still have him at 5'10", 5'11". It's only the reason why is because when he goes to these National League combines, he doesn't get height or weight. He just goes and wants to perform with his arm. So he's kind of skips that first part. So a lot of these people have his 8th grade to going into his freshman year stats. Because he's only 5'10", he's only 5'11". And now he's about 6'1.5", almost 6'2". His dad's about 6'3", his mom's about 5'11". So he's got height in his family. So that's not going to be an issue. Obviously, we're focusing on getting bigger right now in the offseason. I have him with a strength specialist, an NFL guy, and Tony Ponton here in Orlando. So he's working with him about 4 to 5 times a week. He started working with him right going into the playoffs this past season, and we saw what he did. I mean, he was fresh going into a state title game where he single-handedly put the team on his back to put his team in a chance to win the game. They lost to American Heritage, but it was a game where he really performed at a high level against one of the best teams in the nation. So Darion is on a track to gain weight, hopefully get to that 180, 185-pound mark as he's taking his steps into the University of Miami this time next year. He will be an early enrollee. He's on track to do that. He's got a 3.9, 4.0 GPA right now, Jones, so he's a smart kid. But again, his strengths right now is arm talent, but he's learning the game. And he had thrown, maybe 2 or 3 interceptions the entire year, going 14-0, 14-1 when it's all said and done. Unbelievable stats, 30 touchdowns, again, 2 picks, unbelievable stats. So he's understanding the game. And, when you understand the game with the arm talent that he has, the sky's the limit. And I'm very confident in what I say about him becoming in Miami and competing right away. I know Dawson sees that, and he saw it really early, and that's why he's very high on Darion, which is what was, gave him the ability to commit so early at a place like Miami, especially with all the hype coming with Cam Ward. I know the quarterback position is kind of the standard has definitely risen, which it should have been and never have left at the University of Miami, as we were known for quarterback especially in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I think we're getting back to that. And so when Darion was able to throw a couple times on campus and throw in front of Coach Dawson, this is, again, before Cam Ward became who he was at Miami, he was all excited and gave him the okay to commit right there on campus after a camp in front of Coach Mark Cristobal in his office. And he was definitely committed to that and has been strong with that. And as long as I'm his trainer, he will be at the University of Miami this time next year. I'm excited for that, as I do believe as his trainer, biased, non-biased, doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I think that going into next spring, he'll have an opportunity to start and be a 4-year starter at Miami.
I love to hear it. Man. It's funny because fans think, when somebody commits early, like Darion has, he was like, is he like 16? 15, something like that, when he committed?
He just turned
17 now. Fans think he's not going to grow, or he's going to be the same height and weight.
I put out a post about a recent post where if you guys see what he did this past weekend in Miami, just the arm talent is unbelievable, how the ball just jumps out of his hand. You can tell in that video he's a lot longer and a lot more body tuned in that video than what people may have seen in camps a year ago or a year and a half ago when they're like, oh, Darion's only 5'10", 150 or whatever. Clearly, he's put on some mass. He is a lot bigger. He's continuously growing. And like I said, his trajectory is it keeps on going and leveling up. So the main thing is the main people that understand football and have a high football IQ understand that and are watching his development, like Mario Cristobal and Coach Dawson. We were just with them last week. They came to Jones High School. I was there. They love it. They're excited. And honestly, Mario told me in multiple conversations he wishes he could have reclassed up. But I think with another year of development, not rushing the process, giving him that time to get bigger, faster, stronger, and more closer to God, I think by this time next year, he's going to be in a position where he's about 6'2", 6'2.5", 185 to 190 pounds. We're talking he could be the next generational talent at Miami starting as a true freshman. So that's the plan. We just had to get through this 1 year, and I think we found that answer to what that is and why we're doing this podcast tonight. But we just needed that one buffer year to give an opportunity to compete for the job this time next year. So I'm very excited about that.
Absolutely. And we're definitely excited as fans to see him. Those who aren't in the state of Florida and who couldn't make it to that game with Heritage, we were fortunate enough to watch it, online or whatever. And, great. We know what the arm talent is. We know how the talent is. So we can't wait to get him on campus. When you're training a quarterback, what are your rules? Like when you first start training a quarterback, do you have like a set list of things that they must do to start?
Well, they must be able to throw a football naturally. I think that's
Right.
something that I'd say I watch early in a couple throws. I mean, there's so many kids that want to be a quarterback, but I firmly believe throwing a football or any type of ball in particular is God-given, and it's definitely something that has to come natural. Now, you can work on eliminating some things in the throw, whether it's dropping the ball or quicker release or fully extending an elbow and changing some arm slots. That's easy as you develop through the lower level of the body, which is what I focus on, the lower level of footwork mechanics and sequencing through the arm with your lower body. That's stuff that I really take pride in my work and my training. I'm not really a mechanic guy, but I believe in good feet equals good ball. But I really look for the natural ability just to throw, whether it looks really ugly in a sidearm or however that looks. It just has to come off your hands a natural way. And then my job is to eliminate some of the bad habits and then, obviously go in sequence with your lower body. So that's the number one thing. But I'm very big on the fundamentals of the position. So understanding what a three-step drop is, body control, and understanding the weight transfer. Again, that is all in timing with your footwork. And so that's really what I focus on in my development. And once we understand the basics and perfect the timing of footwork sequencing, then I go into the off-platform stuff, being creative, adding things to the toolbox, then getting into the classroom, understanding coverages, breaking it down, understanding fronts, corner leverage, DB leverage, the linebacker, where they're aligned, and then understanding concepts and how to, manipulate the defense with your eyes, stuff like that. So that's more advanced stuff. But again, the basics goes into, can you throw a ball naturally? Not really caring what it looks like, but does it naturally come out of your hand? And then me, translating that to the lower body and 3-step no hitch, 3-step with the hitch and rhythm, 5-step, 7-step, just things like that. That again, that a lot of these guys don't understand now because the game is kind of dummied down to where, hey, just go on shotgun and just stay there and make the no. That is just the easy way to get things. But for a true quarterback to develop, they have to understand, hey, what's a 3-step drop understanding look like with no hitch? Because everybody wants to hitch because they're off balance. They don't have a good base. And it's just natural for them because they've been in shotgun their whole life. So, again, understanding the development under center, I think that's very important in development of footwork to understand body control and understanding base. And then from that, I add on to that with the off-platform stuff, the things that kids and coaches like to see nowadays that really wasn't accepted back when I was playing.
Right. Correct. Yes. Do you see a difference between like a baseball player playing quarterback and just a quarterback who's never played baseball as far as throwing mechanics, motions, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, being an athlete is really good. Playing multiple sports as a kid growing up in developmental stage is really good. But as far as being like a pitcher, I think that's what scares me because there is so many differences between being a quarterback and being a pitcher. Pitcher's long striding, more, longer release points, different weight transfers, locating the ball, different hand positions on the ball. You're throwing a much smaller ball than a football. So then you can really strain the shoulder, strain the elbow. Whereas quarterback is mainly just lower body. If you are in sync with your lower body, you're not really using much arm. That's why you're starting to see kids like Darion at 170 pounds throw 82 yards on a rope because he's able to use his lower body, not being so physically strong, but being so in tune with his body and weight transfer that that ball just becomes easier instead of putting so much strain on a little ball like a baseball. I do like the ability to use your body in different angles in baseball, like turning two from a shortstop or third base, using those different arm angles. That's cool because you're starting to use your body in different ways to throw. But really the only thing that I love to transfer from baseball to football or as quarterback specific is batting. So my quarterbacks, I suggest them go batting 2 to 3 times a week, and just going the batting cages, working on the hip transfer, right, the torque, right? That's really what I focus on, and I love that. That's the only thing that I would honestly tell a parent. If you really want to transfer baseball to quarterbacking, go to the batting cage as much as you want, but pitching does not help you. It's actually going to hurt you later on. But the body movements from a shortstop, a second baseman, from the outfield, tracking a ball, you're using your coordination skills. That is good. That's always going to be good to translate to football, especially at quarterback. That's cool. We saw that a lot in Cam Ward and how he's throwing the ball from different angles and his body turning. It looks like he's just naturally picking up like he's throwing to or crow hopping. That stuff is great. But when we talk about, man, my son's a good pitcher, so he should be a good quarterback. No, that's actually false. That is not true. So, but again, I do support playing other sports. But if you're a quarterback, honestly, like I've told my top elite guys, Darion Coleman's one of them. He started out actually in baseball. Noah Grubbs and Brady Hart. Those are really my 3 key baseball players that are focused solely on quarterbacking, put down the baseball in high school, where a lot of you see a lot of these other quarterbacks still sticking with baseball. I'm more like, hey, quarterback is an art and you don't want to lose that. So stick with that. You can add things to your toolbox by maybe picking up the baseball sometimes or, just playing for fun. But when you talk about really perfecting your craft, find your passion. If that is quarterback, go all in with that, and then we can add things in our training that can still get the same body movements that you would in baseball, whether that's, again, turning to or whatnot, or being creative with your throw. So that's really where I stand with the whole baseball quarterback thing.
Got you. Great insight. Have you gotten a chance to watch any Luke Nickel?
Yeah, no, I definitely did my research on Luke Nickel. He is a phenomenal talent. I'm excited for him to be at Miami Hurricane. Look, regardless of how much I talk about Dereon Coleman, which again, I still think he's going to be the guy. Right. I want Miami to be successful. So if Luke Nichols will come in, he wins the job, he wins games for Miami, that's awesome. I know there's going to be a plan in place, which is why programs take 1 quarterback instead of 2 per class, because eventually one of these guys may be there for 2 or 3 years. They hit the portal because they get, higher NIL stock or whatnot, or they want to go to the NFL. So there's always going to be a plan in place. You see Carson Beck, the guy that we just signed, he planned to sit out for 2 or 3 years because he wanted to wait his turn to be at Georgia, who was at the top. So you're going to see guys like that. So whatever the plan is for Dereon, besides the fact that being a Hurricanes fan myself, there's going to be a plan in place for him. So at the end of the day, I do want Luke Nickel to come in and feel like he should be the guy. Everybody should feel that way. They come on campus. You're not at the University of Miami for no reason. Like, you're there because you are recruited, you are there because you have talent, and you are there to win national titles and hopefully Heisman trophies and all that, whatever. That's why you come to Miami. So for Luke Nickel, I mean, he's Georgia's player of the year. He won multiple state titles. He barely lost. He's a true winner. He's a competitor. I love that as a Hurricanes fan. I want you to come to Miami and have those as your resume and be in the Elite 11 and all that stuff. That is amazing. So for Luke Nickel, I'm excited as a Canes fan to watch him come in and compete. You want the best around you because ultimately that's what happens to those quarterbacks that are competitive. Is what does it do? It brings the best out of them. So for me as a trainer for Dereon, I'm excited for him to be in the same room as Luke Nickel when he gets on campus in a year from now, because that's going to be the true competition. When Dereon comes in, it's going to be Luke Nickel, Dereon Coleman, and whoever else is on the roster. But we as we know, the transfer portal's hot. They just signed a quarterback in Carson Beck. If you're on the roster at Miami now, that kind of tells you an indicator. Maybe they don't have a plan for me because they don't necessarily see me developing on pace right now where they may have liked me to be. I'm not throwing shade or whatever shots. I'm just saying the real of the situation, the reality of it. Dawson didn't bring Carson Beck out for no reason. He thinks that that's the best option right now in that room, and so that's what we did. And so for Luke Nickel to come in, he's going to learn under Carson Beck, who has a lot of experience in college football. He's going to be Emory Jones, who has some experience, who is 2-0 as a starter, 2-0.5 because he lost Florida State, but he didn't finish the game. Who knows how that would have turned out? But he beat Clemson, so he's got some experience there as well as a winning quarterback at Miami. And then the other guys, they're just honestly there, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not there after spring, just to be, not sugarcoat it. But I do like Luke Nickel. He brings a lot of excitement to Miami, and I think fans should be excited that he's on campus right now and probably going to take majority of the spring reps other than Emory Jones. I think this is Emory Jones' resume builder for maybe the future, what that looks like. But I do believe it's going to be Emory, and then you're going to see a lot of Luke Nickel, which, again, Canes fans should be excited about.
Yep. From a coaching eye, what do you see in Luke Nickel that makes him special?
Yeah, he can throw the ball from different angles. He's a winner. That's number one. You have to recruit a quarterback that knows how to win and win on the big stage. And he's done that. He's done that consistently. He's beaten some Miami teams. He's dominated Georgia. So, that's the mecca of football. If you can win in Florida, Georgia, Texas, California, you're probably a dude, especially at the quarterback position. So he's been able to prove that. And being a Hurricanes fan, I'm excited that Luke Nickel signed with Miami, committed to Miami, and he stuck with that commitment. He brought his brother in. I believe he's a tight end. So I know there's going to be some chemistry there, and we love to use the tight end in our offense, which is huge for us because it gives matchup problems for linebackers. And if we have athletic tight ends, which I think the game's getting away from, I think that's why Miami's offense is so dynamic, because we see how we use the tight ends in our offense. And so that's going to be big time. But yeah, I just love Luke Nickel's ability to win games. He can do things really well with his arm and his feet when he has to, but he just fits that pro style mold that Shannon Dawson really likes in his offense to be successful.
Excellent. Let me take a quick break real quick, and we'll be right back. Just want to shout out Caneswear real quick, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Caneswear.
New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
Salute to Caneswear, man. Hopefully we'll be back down for spring, and we'll do our Into the Canes verse. We'll have a big extravaganza. We're going to make it bigger. We're trying to make it bigger every year. So hopefully we have. Do you usually get down for spring games, Baylin?
Yeah, I go to all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
The last couple. And of course, Shannon Dawson has invited me last year, and he's going to invite me this year. So I plan on being there with Darion this spring. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Yes. For those who just entered the chat, we have QB coach Baylin Trujillo with us. Look at CB. Hey, CB.
Got me on the show. There he is.
That's right. Let's get a couple questions in before we get to Carson Beck, and then we'll get you out of here, man. I know you.
Yeah, no, I love talking about Miami, so we're good.
Yes, sir. All right, Anthony Manzano. Coach, I'm not sure if you agree with this comparison, but when I see Carson, the quarterback, he reminds me in terms of Hurricane quarterback, it's either Bernie or Jim Kelly. How you think? What do you think about that? Do you think that's a?
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with this statement. I think that he fits more of what we consider Miami Hurricane quarterbacks: Ken Dorsey, Bernie Kosar. You just named Gino Torretta. Like your bigger, pocket guys that just know how to use their arm and win with the talent around them. I mean, if you look at our history, our receiving core has always been the top in the nation because we have so much speed here that all these guys have to do is get them the ball or facilitate the ball or stretch the game vertically downfield, and we're scoring a lot of points. So Carson Beck fits that mold, and it's been our savior and our curse. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm more of how the game has changed. I think that we start developing how the game has changed, and honestly, with the offensive line like Mario Cristobal's and what he's recruiting, the pro style quarterback does work in this system because he's going to be well protected, as we saw with Cam Ward multiple times, literally just standing there flat-footed or backpedaling and literally walking. That is unbelievable what he has done in the room of the offensive lineman, which is huge for us quarterbacks. So you're able to get away with your more natural pro style quarterbacks that like to stand in the pocket, not really use their feet. But for me, I like the way the game is changing, and I do like the ability to escape and use your feet when you have to, kind of like Cam Ward did. He's more of a pocket passer, but he's an athletic pocket passer, just like a Darion Coleman, as we're seeing, or like a Dylan Gabriel, or even a Quinn Ewers, where again they're pocket guys, but if they'll hurt you with their legs if you have to, and that brings a whole dynamic to the game that you have to account for, especially as a defensive coordinator. So when you put a little stress on it, I like more of the athletic pocket passers that, hey, I can kill you with my arm, kind of like a Luke Nickel, right? I can kill you with my arm, but hey, if I have to use my legs, I'm going to hurt you. And I believe that's what Darion Coleman is. I believe, he wants to be considered a pocket passer, but if you guys watch any of the highlights in the American Heritage State Championship game, the kid literally ran for almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, shredded him. They couldn't touch him because he was so elusive and fast. Okay, they accounted for his arm talent, so they dropped 8. Well, guess what? Now you got to protect this 4.4, 4.5 speed at quarterback, and he brings a dynamic. And if your linebacker isn't sound, you're going to get hit for 20 yards here and there. So that's what he was doing. So I think I like the way that kind of shaped the quarterback, the way it's played out now, compared to your typical Hurricane quarterback. The only one that really comes to mind whenever I think about big time pro style bust is Kyle Wright, and I don't want to ever really go through that. Or even a Jaron Williams. I think Jaron Williams had a lot of hype, but I mean, he couldn't do anything outside of the pocket, and it really hurt us. So I like the way that the Miami trend is, kind of going towards the more athletic pocket passers now. And I hope we continue that trend. And I believe Carson Beck does fit that mold. So he might look like the stereotypical Miami quarterback, but he can also hurt you with his legs if you watch his tape at Georgia.
Absolutely. All right, Ben Pfeiffer, what's going on? Sup, Joey and Baylin. Pumped to see DC arrive at the U. Beck, I feel, not saying he'll win a Heisman, but Jaden Daniels shined in a new system in a new school. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes people need a new voice. They need a new system. They need new surroundings.
I agree.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And he will win a Heisman. If he does the right things, he'll win a Heisman. Oh,
yeah, he'll be in New York. He'll get that invite. At Baylin, I heard you on Donald's channel the other night. Good to see you if you heard that tonight.
Yes,
Great.
sir.
Appreciate you, brother. All right, so Carson Beck. Some doubt out there. Our own CB, our own Chalupa Batman is like, Carson Beck, he has to show me. I don't see it, which is fine. Convince us that Carson Beck can play football.
Yeah, no. He played at Georgia, number one. That should tell you enough about it. If Kirby Smart is going to put his eggs in that basket and not go portal and literally stick with Carson Beck for 2 years, I think that speaks volumes of what he sees the potential in him. Let's not discredit the fact that Georgia had the worst offensive productivity at the receiver position in the entire country. So he was coming off being an all SEC quarterback. Literally the number one quarterback coming out of the SEC his junior year. I think they won the conference championship. They ultimately lost in the playoff, they got snubbed from the playoff, right? They dismantled Florida State. But he had a lot of hype coming out of his junior year. And then this year, he lost a lot of talent, especially Bowers, right? That helped him a lot in his productivity. But again, when you have 37 drop balls, I don't care what quarterback, and you could have Cam Ward back there. If you have 37 drop balls, you're going to look average because there's no productivity in the offense. So it's not like Carson Beck was out there and trying to, cause that to happen. I mean, we're talking balls within, in their grasp, and they're just dropping the ball. So that does not help a quarterback. And he still had pretty good stats, regardless of all the drops that he had at Georgia, which is very uncharacteristic for a Georgia team who was the national champion favorite going into the year. I do believe if Carson Beck is still playing and healthy, I think they do beat Notre Dame, and I think they are probably playing in the game that we're going to see Monday night. Regardless of, I'm not really a Georgia fan or anything, it's just the facts. But I think that Carson Beck is a winner. I mean, he's never lost against a Florida team. I'll just throw that out there. So he's undefeated against Florida and Florida State in his time as a starter. So we like that as a Hurricane fan because he knows how to beat them, whether it's, in big time environments against, the Gators or just going to Miami and completely thrashing and giving Florida State the worst bowl loss in history. He is known to do that. So as long as we keep that trend, we're good. But he's won in the SEC. I mean, we got a proven SEC winning quarterback that's lost, 2 games as a starter. I think that's huge. As a Hurricanes fan, is winning in the SEC, which is like the level below the NFL. To be honest, they have the best talent. I don't care what people think about the ACC.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's the facts.
I'm not going to be sitting here as a biased Hurricanes fan saying, "Oh, the ACC." No, the SEC is the hardest conference to win in, and Carson Beck did that. So I think they won the home run. And here's the thing that people don't even realize: Carson Beck still has 2 years of football left. People are automatically assuming, oh, he's only here. He's one and done his senior year. Guys, he has a COVID year that no one even talks about. So technically, he has 2 full years that he could be a Hurricane. So when you put that in perspective, you're like, oh, wait a minute. So he has 2 full years under Dawson at Miami. We know he's coming from an injury in the elbow, so the time will tell when that comes in. I would project he's not playing in spring. So, again, you're going to get to see a lot of Luke Nickel and some Emory Williams, right? So you're going to see that. But I think that, hey, worst case scenario, we were going to see him for 2 years and let the younger guys develop, and then it's their time to shine. So regardless, I think this was a massive, massive gift for Miami, whether it's the 1 year plan, get him in the first round if he does well like he's done at Georgia, or, hey, we're going to see how this injury plays out. He does really good. He wants to continue his draft stock because at this point, who's not going to play for $4 to $5 million and go to the NFL when he could do that for another year? Now I think his deals are up to $10 million. Why go and rush the NFL when I could play at Miami for 2 full seasons? Hopefully win a national title, go to back-to-back conference championships, hopefully win those, and then he'll be the number 1 overall pick without even a question. So, I mean, there's so many options when it comes to Carson Beck. I think the ceiling's a lot higher. I personally was a Quinn Ewers fan. I was excited about that. And
really?
Even talked to Dawson about the 2 options last week when he came to Jones, and it was between, Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers. I mean, it's out now because Carson Beck committed, but those were the 2 options. And so, they didn't want to miss on a quarterback. So they went after, Carson Beck, who was available at the time because you had to wait to see what Quinn Ewers did Friday night. They got the commitment Thursday. So before Quinn Ewers could have lost or that opportunity to go into the portal, they went after the number 1 player in the portal, and they got him. So that's back-to-back years. Getting the number 1 quarterback in the portal, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Bad at all.
So I think we're winning in that category. But I also believe if Quinn Ewers was to hit the portal because he declared for the draft today, he would have been the number 1, I think, overall quarterback in the portal. And I think Miami would have got him too. So it really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, we got our future. And as fans, we're going to complain because if we saw what we saw in the bowl game, why are we complaining? We should be jumping for joy. We got the number 1 quarterback, and he's a proven winner. So
absolutely,
what are we going to do? Stick with the guys we have right now? I don't think that's the answer. So now we have some hype going into the season and some positivity, especially with Shannon Dawson still calling plays.
Absolutely, I agree, especially with what the options were left in the portal. Like. You had no choice. So let's grade Carson Beck real quick on some things. Give me a grade for arm strength.
Oh, A, not even close. Now here's this is A before the elbow.
Right. No doubt.
But here's the thing: the arm. I mean, I don't want to jinx it or anything, but if you do your research on Tommy John, which is essentially what he got, right? That's that's more of a baseball injury because the tendon snaps from throwing so many. Miles per hour in arm, slot angles and stuff like that at that velocity. So the tendon usually pops if you don't take care of it. The arm actually comes back stronger than it was before. And it's sad to see some of these baseball fanatic dads that are actually forcing their 12 or 13-year-old kids into having a surgery before it's even happening because they know the strength that comes with it afterwards. The tendon becomes thicker, bigger, and stronger after the surgery. So when you put that in perspective, Carson Beck already had an elite arm. Now you just added that surgery, which again, I don't want no surgery for any quarterback, especially that one inside elbow. But to know the success stories after that and the arm strength and the ability to come back and be, throwing even harder, I mean, that excites me. So I think the arm strength still stays at an A.
Okay. Pocket presence.
A, that's all he lived in at Georgia. You had that big offensive line. He sat in that pocket. I think that's what he did at Mandarin High School when he won state championship. He did that in Georgia's 4 years in development, whether that's 2 on the bench and coming in sparingly to now being a 2-year starter at Georgia. He is a true pocket passer who is athletic. So I think his pocket presence gives him an A.
And that's the other thing, athleticism.
Yeah. So athleticism, I'd give him a B. Maybe a B minus. I mean, he shows the ability to do it, but he ain't going to go out there and run for 100 yards. It ain't going to happen. But if you saw Cam Ward, I mean, I think we'd all give him a B. So it's not like he scored a couple times with his legs in big games like Virginia Tech, the one that sticks out to me the most, and Cal, right? Those are big time game-changing runs with his feet that, stretch the field. But at the end of the day, where did Cam Ward live? Inside the pocket. That's where Carson Beck will do. And, Shannon Dawson likes to stretch the game vertically. So you're not really going to see much of that because the offensive line is so good. where you're going to see, arm talent showcase itself. And that's what Carson Beck's good at. And that's what Cam Ward was good at. So, I like my chances, but I would say athletic ability, I would say B minus.
Okay. Accuracy.
Now, see, here's the thing. So accuracy, his junior year, I would have gave him a minus to A plus. Last year, I would probably do B, solid B. I mean, again, 37 drops in college football in 13 games. That doesn't mean you're not accurate. Just means your stats might show you're not accurate because you have 37 added drops to your completions. 2 drops you show, right? Bad throws count too, but 37 drops, that means the ball touched your hands, it was catchable, and it was considered a drop. So when you have 37 tallied official drops in one unit, that doesn't mean you're not an accurate quarterback. So I'd still give him a B in that category. I think that's pretty solid. I would like to see the numbers go up, but I think with multiple catches, I think that we're talking A minus in that category.
Okay. I don't know what to defensive diagnosing the defense.
So here's where I think he can get better. So I think he's still a top 10 quarterback in the country. I still think if he was to go out in the draft right now, he's still a first-round draft pick based off the arm talent. Now with the injury, I don't think NFL teams are willing to bet on him right now. But if he was not to get injured, regardless of the season he was having, he would have been a first-round draft pick. He still might not have been in the top 7 quarterbacks nationally, statistically, or what we would consider, the 7 best quarterbacks in the NCAA right now. Like a lot of people want to debate. He might not have been in the top 7, or even potentially he might be at the edge of top 10. But from a physical standpoint, at 6'4", 210 pounds, athletic and arm talent, he would have been a first-day guy, in my opinion, regardless. So now with his ability to come back and even prove that, he's definitely going to be a first-round draft pick under Miami and Shannon Dawson. I think that's going to really help his draft stock, which is why he's coming back. But I think we talk about, I would probably give him probably a B, a C, honestly, because again, we see Georgia his junior year. What did he have? He had the best talent around him. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. He had the best receivers, the best line, the best running back. I mean, it just helped his game. So what are teams trying to do? They're trying to play a lot of man. So he just picks up his best matchup, and I'm going to attack you. And now he can make every throw on the field, makes him look good. Well, this year he didn't have that. So a lot of people are playing zone. They're trying to disguise some things. So he really had to read the field, and you saw him make crucial mistakes. I mean, what did he throw? 8 picks in 3 games at one point in a stretch? Granted, they won those football games. Crazy. But he still did that. So, he can get better in that aspect. And I think with Shannon Dawson, what he does offensively and how he's stretching the field vertically, it's going to go back to those man. They're going to try to get teams back into man coverage, which is going to help Carson Beck, definitely help him a lot, because he does better in man. And I think he needs to do a way better job of understanding how to manipulate zones and where to throw the football. So, but again, with the speed that Miami has, and the way that Shannon Dawson calls plays and stretches games vertically, teams don't want to run zone because they're going to, Miami, the way that they've shown with Cam Ward will shred you. So then they go to man. And I think that's what Carson Beck does best is to find the best matchup. And we're going to attack you because I can make every throw on the field. So again, as far as reading the field, I think it's a C right now, but I think it'll get better because he's under Shannon Dawson.
Yep. All right. We got CB backstage. I'm about to let him in here, but real quick, this is a good question from CB. Have you ever had to help a QB coming off an injury like his, or any injury, to the throwing arm, and how was that experience?
Yeah, no, you know why? Because I train my kids from the ground up, and when you learn from the ground up, your arm's never really in use. So I never had a severe, injury in a kid that I've trained in their arm because they've been able to use their lower body, which saves their arm, which that's how it should be. But to back, I mean, his happened because of a hit. It wasn't because he wasn't throwing mechanically right. Or he was always using his arm. Remember, this is because his arm was behind him and it got pulled back on a velocity where he's trying to rip the ball. That tendon popped. So that's a contact injury, not a non-contact. So to answer the question, I have not, and I pray that I never do, because when his elbow starts hurting, I shut it down for 3 days. He can't throw. He has to log in to me that he has not thrown every single day. That way the tendon can heal and the muscles around it build, and then we go right back to work. So if there's ever an inside elbow injury, it's automatic shutdown. It's a requirement that I have for my kids. 3 days, no throwing, no nothing. You can't even pick up an Xbox controller. Lay down, relax, and go from there.
Yeah. CB, can you hear us?
Yes. Can y'all hear me? I'm sorry if my audio is terrible. I'm in the car.
Yes. What's going on, brother?
Well, I mean, I just had to jump in because, I mean, first off, I knew this was going to be a great episode. I'm upset that I didn't get to make it because we got the quarterback guru on, and
That's
who's
right.
better brain to pick? Um, First off, I didn't think I would be swayed. I think Baylin has swayed me. I think Baylin has swayed me. Um, Something else I didn't really consider, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Coach. We've got such a young receiver room with guys like JoJo and Chance and Nikar and Malachi Toney coming in, and even Ray Ray, who doesn't have a high number of snaps. How much of an asset do you think Carson Beck's going to be to some of the younger guys in the receiver room?
I think that whole room jumped for joy the moment they said Carson Beck.
Yeah.
I think that's, again, because he can make every throw on the field. So when you're a receiver and you know you got a guy who's a proven winner in the SEC and all he likes to do is throw the ball, shoot, sign me up. As a receiver, I'm ready to catch the dang rock. I bet you some of these receivers like Warren probably saw that and was like, hold on, did I make the right decision? Or you got a there that's worth $1 million that came from Georgia Tech. I'm sure he's probably like, maybe I should make my way down to Coral Gables again.
Yeah.
Or the Branch brothers. Maybe did we do this too quickly? So I think that we're going to see a lot of movement at receiver. I think Miami might hit better talent right now in the portal in the next couple months after spring, especially with Carson Beck being more healthy. I think they're going to believe in that. But I think that the receiving group right now, Miami is very excited that we have a guy who can throw anywhere on the field and really wants to do that and not really focus so much on his feet. But, hey, he wants to stand in that pocket and deliver some balls. So if you do that, man, guys like JoJo Trader, who I'm excited about, and some of these other guys, I mean, holy cow. I mean, they're definitely excited. I would think so.
Yeah, I would imagine CJ Daniels was vindicated. Like the second that happened, CJ Daniels was like, see, told you guys, I trusted the process. And I would imagine there are a few of them kicking themselves. So I do want to take a quick tangent away from Beck because there's something that Baylin does with his BTruQBTraining training that it goes beyond football. And I want to give you a chance to plug it and talk about it. The Bible study that you started recently that has hosted kids from all around the country, from 0 stars to 5, from commits from every school you could possibly name, from NAIA to SEC D1. It's one of the coolest things that any coach is doing. So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about that and to plug that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. You're the first person to ask about that, and I take pride in that. I think that's one of the coolest things that I've ever done. And it was actually inspired by Brady Hart. So I was talking to Brady Hart one day after a game. It was in the regular season last year, and he was just talking about the purpose is bigger than football, and we're called for much things greater than this game, and how can we use our platforms to really reach out and spread the gospel and build like the kingdom. And so as I'm talking to him, I'm thinking, man, like, why not? I've already do like a virtual school as far as quarterback, teaching the game, and I know I have Zoom and all that, and I'm like, why not just start a quarterback Bible study where I can reach out to quarterbacks across America, like you just mentioned, put it out there on social media for free, where these guys can maybe never have the chance to meet me, have that opportunity to come into that space and then learn about God. So it was like a no-brainer for me. And once I really started brainstorming that, I'm like, let's start it. So I kicked it off last year. I believe it was around October. I started doing it every Tuesday night and was really excited about it. Really grew. I mean, my first Bible study had over 30 quarterbacks from all across the world, even people from Brazil and Canada. I mean, these people are reaching out on my social media as like, can we be involved? And they're in completely different time zones. I mean, one was like at like 2 a.m. and they're really excited about this. And so I just had my first one of the new year this past Monday night. And I think this is going to continue to be something really special and hopefully grow. But again, at the end of the day, it's about Jesus, about, spreading the gospel and focusing on the main thing, and that's keeping Christ first. And so if I'm able to use that and reach out to quarterbacks, and it doesn't even have to be a quarterback. I've got punters on there. I've got receivers on there, people wanting to be a part of this and learn about the gospel. And so this is a way for all these quarterbacks and all these talents and all these quarterbacks that are either pro or college or at all levels get together in one space for an hour and communicate about Jesus and get to know each other and build this like brotherhood and this like kind of like, this way of what this fraternity, right? This quarterback fraternity for Christ. And so that's really cool. And so, and I really appreciate you mentioning that. And something again, that I take pride in, probably the most most prideful thing I do. I hate that word, but it is because, again, it's about Jesus and getting those guys together.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things, and to get to see it grow too, just following you on Twitter and getting to see even your reaction. I remember like after one of the first couple, you were like, I mean, I expected a turnout, but it went from 30 to 80 to hundreds, and it's cool to just to see you give the kids an opportunity to unplug for a night. Like you said, have that community, have that sense of community. It's something that they can all take pride in together, and they share a different journey. I mean, it's not just in the NFL where being a quarterback is different. It's different at all levels than every other position. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but only they understand what they're going through. I'm a former receiver. I couldn't all the way relate to my quarterback because at the end of the day, I just wanted him to get me the rock, and I wasn't the only one that required that from him. So it gives them a chance to shut off, cut the world off, and come together for something common. And I think it's just so cool. That's why I had to give you a chance to shout that out. And second thing, one of the biggest things coming up for any quarterback is the Elite 11 competition. You've got several guys that are going to be competing at regionals. Let the chat know about some of those guys that are going to be competing all around the country this year.
Shoot, let me pull up the list. I mean, I think all
because it's a list.
Yeah,
It's a list. I'm sure it's a list.
It's a list.
Yeah. So, well, here's the thing. This is the crazy part about it is because I have so many good kids in this state that they're going to have to go to other places like Atlanta or Nashville or Texas because not all of them can get the golden ticket. So, like, I have like literally Darion and Noah going to go right at it, right? And then I have guys that are in Tampa like Joaquin Cavaclis. They got Joseph Allen here. They got William Jack here, Champ Smith here, Zach Katz here. Like, you got guys in this state that are all trying to compete for the same thing. And I'm like, man, all these guys have, multiple over 10 Power 4 offers. They all have got the ability to really shine in a setting like that. Carter Emanuel as well. Logan Rogers. I mean, the list goes on. Tyson Davison, Braylon Sanchez. It's just crazy to think that these guys are all competing in the same area. So what do? Hey, you might want to go to Nashville this week, or hey, are you not doing 7-on-7? So maybe go to Atlanta for this one. So I'm trying to spread them out because I know my guys are going to shine. I do take pride in that, and I believe that they will. Right. So hey, you might want to go to this one because you might have a better opportunity because I don't believe the talent that's there is going to be as good as you or whatever, or you might have a better opportunity because if all these guys are in Tampa, they're all going to look like freaking superstars. So then it's going to make Brian's job harder to give out the tickets. So then they're going to just go the political route. Okay, we'll just hand it off to the guy who has the most offers or just played in an All-American game. So I want all my guys to have that ability to really compete and earn it because they're going to be shine that much more in an environment where I believe those guys are going to take over. But I think Tampa, if anybody wants to watch a show with a bunch of true elite quarterbacks, I think Tampa on April 5th, that's going to be quite a performance at quarterback, especially the guys that I train because I train them like some of the stuff I've learned in Elite 11. That's why they stick out. So my job for my quarterbacks, and I take pride in, is when you go to camps, you stick out. Like you will know the difference between what it should look like and those that are still trying to learn. Because at this level, coaches don't have time to teach you, how to work in the pocket or how to go through certain drills. My guys have perfected it, so that's why they stand out. So when you have a bunch of guys that know what they're doing, now it makes their job harder to say, oh, this guy deserves a ticket because he looks so much better than everybody. No, all my guys are going to look legit and polished. So they got to do their homework and make sure, they're on one that day because it's going to be hard to choose somebody. But, I think that Tampa, Atlanta, and Nashville are going to go nuts because those are the three areas where I'm sending my top guys.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Joe. We'll get back to Carson Beck now, but I had to plug both of those things because
don't be surprised. I do think that if I had to make an early prediction, I think Dereon Coleman, Noah Grubbs, Rocco Williams, Carter Emanuel. I could just keep going. Those guys will probably get the golden ticket in the 26th class, and Logan Rogers. They'll all compete for something in California or wherever they have it this year.
It's going to be such a good competition this year. All right, Joe. Sorry, I derailed the show for a second. Back to Ben.
Nah, I knew that's what you were coming on to do. I knew that.
I couldn't let him go the whole show without. He had to. There's so many of the young guys and so many of them that he trains. I was like, I have I can't let him go the whole show without talking about him because there's so many of them. And I know Elite 11's got to be triple stressful for him because it's like I said, it's like his entire roster. But I know this what these kids, that's their Super Bowl. That's their, that's like growing up a street baller and then bringing back and one mixtapes. That's what the Elite 11 is for them. So
yeah, I'm gonna give you two different examples, and I believe they came from the same class where Elite 11 changed their lives. Brian Maurer was a no star, nobody knew who he was. In 3 games as a starter in high school, goes to Elite 11, completely flips the script on everybody, and literally wins the golden ticket and goes to Elite 11, became an Elite 11 finalist, and then ended up committing to Tennessee. So nobody knew who he was. So that was Brian Maurer, ended up starting at Tennessee against Georgia in a couple games. And then you have Joe Milton. Joe Milton, nobody knew who he was. A big-time name in Central Florida. Somebody that I worked with in 7-on-7, was from Olympia High School, went out there, completely shredded it. And then, who is this guy? Because he looks like a freaking machine. Then next, he becomes a top 10 Elite 11 finalist, and then he commits to Michigan, and now he's in the NFL with the New England Patriots. And then Anthony Richardson, another one. He wasn't even on nobody's radar, didn't even get the invite, went to that Saturday combine, lit it up, and he was in the same – this is a funny story because I got a picture of it right here on my phone. I just showed somebody. He was that Saturday, didn't get the invite, did so well because he ran like a 4.540, got the invite, then he won the golden ticket on that Sunday. So he was not even on nobody's list. And guess who was supposed to win the golden ticket? Carson Beck. And Carson Beck ended up getting it that same day.
What?
So they gave it to Carson Beck, Jeff Sims, and Anthony Richardson all on the same Sunday at Lake Howell High School, which I was coaching in the Elite 11 at the time. I got a picture with all 3 of them. But it was funny because, again, Anthony Richardson was on nobody's radar from Gainesville High School, ends up going to Elite 11, got the golden ticket. Then QB1 decides, hey, we're going to follow this guy's journey his senior year. And so that's how that deal happened for Anthony Richardson. So Elite 11 is a life-changing experience for a lot of quarterbacks. You never know the diamonds in the roughs that really come out and show out at those camps.
It's true. I mean, Kenny Minchie's recruiting went through the roof. C.J. Stroud's recruiting completely changed because of Elite 11. He wouldn't even have been at the Elite 11 if it wasn't for DJU opting out of it that year.
Yep.
So you never know. So to the guy that's out there that thinks he's not a high-profile guy going to the Elite 11, show up and show out, man. You never know.
You're going to blow up. You're going to blow up. Listen, we got – hold on. We can't see that.
Oh, the green screen.
Yeah, the green screen is doing it.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, we can't do it. It's
the green screen.
Listen, we got 100, about 120 in the track. Hey, hit the like button, please. Subscribe, hit the like button. We appreciate everybody in the chat. Yep. Down a little bit.
That's crazy.
So there's your boy, Carson Beck, right there.
That's crazy.
There's Jeff Sims, and then there's me, and then there's Anthony Richardson. So that camp, Elite 11, literally changed all these kids' lives right there.
Yep.
Oh, this is interesting.
Real quick, Angel. Thank you for the question. I'm curious of Babylon. Baylin's thoughts on Toney's QB play and potential to use his arm on design plays at Miami.
Yeah, that's a conversation I had with Dawson. He is not going to play quarterback at Miami. So anybody that thought
he doesn't like it,
ain't happening. It worked enough for them. He had to play the position because he played it as a kid in youth football. But obviously, Diabell went down and he took over. And actually, they looked really good with Malachi Toney, throwing the rock. I mean, I think his first 15 passes were completed in the state title game. So he played unbelievable at quarterback in the 3 games that he was able to. Give American Heritage a state championship because honestly, when he became a quarterback, I'm like, this is Darion Coleman's year. We're winning state. And then Malachi Toney does some unbelievable things. So, but he's a hurricane. So again, I was happy for Malachi and what he did, but they might use that in trick plays or they might have that in their back pocket, knowing they can do some stuff like that. Cause he is such a generational talent. He's kind of a cheat code in a sense. But yeah, we're not worried about it. Cause once Dereon Coleman comes on campus, he'll be the arm talent you really want to focus on and give Malachi the ball every single play if we can.
No doubt.
Yeah, he doesn't like playing quarterback. He was asked about it. He said he didn't really like it. He even said when he played it in Little League, it was just because he was the best player. Exactly. But he doesn't really typically enjoy playing quarterback. He wants to be a receiver.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
He's just an athlete. He's just a football player.
Yep.
Glad he's a Hurricane.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. So beyond Darion Coleman, 2026, beyond that, 2027, 2028, you know, what names should we look out for at the QB position for the University of Miami and beyond?
Yeah, no doubt. So 2027, these guys all got Elite 11 invites and some of my 2028 kids. So here's the top guys right now that you want to remember. Luke Gaither from Radford, Virginia. He's going to start blowing up, 6'3", 170, athletic pocket passer, won a state title his freshman year, was a part of that team, and then he led him to a 8-3, 8-4 record this year. Very good arm talent, got 4 offers. Joaquin Cavacles here at Tarpon Springs in the Tampa area, big-time arm, 10 D1 offers. Very athletic, can do a lot of things. He might be just watch out for his near future and what he might be doing.
He is going to blow up, by the way. I don't mean to cut you off, but he is going to blow up.
Yeah, Joaquin's one of the smoothest arms I've ever trained. It's not like if you watch him throw in live, you're like, wow, this guy has the wow factor. I mean, I went to 3 different camps, Arkansas, Virginia Tech, USF. They offered him on the spot. It took like 3 throws, and the coach said, yeah, you're offered. Not like we're done. Like, don't need to see any more of this. And he's played a big-time competition. He was at CAI his freshman year, which they played a national schedule. Then that team folded because they were getting kids from Canada and playing with older guys because they didn't fall under the FHSAA. So then he went to Tarpon Springs, lit it up this year. So, again, there might be some news coming out soon about what, his plans look like. But he's at Tarpon Springs right now, and he's going to blow up. William Jackson looks like a freak of nature. 6'4", 180-pound dual threat. He just moved up to Gadsden County up in Georgia. So he'll be playing there the next 2 years. He's got over 8 Division I offers. Virginia Tech's on him really, really hard right now. Champ Smith, right in your area, Spanish River, elite arm talent, has over 12 D1 offers. Dad played at Duke, freak of talent. He's going to be one to watch because his arm is crazy good. Zach Katz in your area as well in South Florida.
That's QB's guy right there.
Yeah,
that's
my
my
boy
guy.
CB did a breakdown of him. He's going to be somebody you're going to want to watch. I'm going to actually see and train him on Monday, so I'm excited to see him back here up in Central Florida. Over 11 D1 offers. Miami has also offered him as well. Joseph Allen, big-time arm. He's at O'Galley High School on the coast. Special talent, over 12 D1 offers. The SEC is starting to roll in, so I know I'm trying to get Dawson in front of him as soon as I can. But another big-time special talent. Then the 28 class got Jackson Stecker. He's at Lake Brantley, won 2 state titles as an 8th grader and a freshman. Coach Dawson's going to go to his school tomorrow and see him throw. So at practice, so I'm very excited about him. Again, Jackson Stecker, he has 4 D1 offers, most recently from Purdue. So he's a big-time talent. Austin Christian in that South Florida, Fort Myers area, Bishop Verot, took over when their quarterback went down and won their district for them. So he's going to be a big-time. He's got a big-time following. He was a youth sensation at quarterback. Works out with Mastroli a lot. I see him. I'm going to probably see him Monday as well. And Martin Luther King Day, they're going to come up here, so I'm going to get to train him a little bit. So excited to see Austin back here. AJ Chung at West Orange High School. He's going to be a phenomenal talent. He was also a youth sensation. I think lost 2 games his whole youth career. Phenomenal, elite arm talent, and he's smart. And the last one is Remy Jarman. He's at Edgewater High School right now behind Carter Emanuel, who's the starter there, but he's a freshman. And he's going to be a big-time name in that 28 class. So those are some of the names that you guys want to write down as far as my kids go in those 2 classes.
Nice. Much appreciated.
Just name
CB,
like
get on it.
I'm like,
CB, get on it.
I bookmark anyone that throws with him gets bookmarked.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
Here's the thing. There's a difference between likes and retweets. You'll see who I really market. I mean, I train a lot of kids, but I only gave you 8, 9 names. So you have to be that top guy for me to really promote you and market you, because I'm not just going to market anybody. You got to be that guy. So chances are, if you see me marketing a kid, when you watch the tape, you're like, oh my gosh, every kid that Baylin talks about is that guy. Well, yeah, that's strategic, because if I'm going to market you, if I'm going to retweet your stuff or promote you, you better be that guy, because now that is going to help you get recruited, because I know who follows and who reaches out to me. So I don't just market anybody. You got to be that guy. And so if you're a kid that trains with me and you're on my social media, there's probably a reason. And so CB, you can go through any of those guys and break down their tape because I know they're going to be a dude to watch. Even Lawrence, phenomenal talent. I do not train him, which is why I don't promote guys I don't train. You gotta train with me for me to announce your name. But that's a guy. Obviously, we all know who he is. He's going to blow up, and I hope he's a Miami Hurricane later down the future too.
All right, we got Pope jumping in. We're about to get out of here, but Pope, he's at baseball practice right now. Looks like, and you're muted.
Yeah, there you go.
Baseball practice. You finishing up?
No, we're just getting started.
Okay.
So
okay. You got a quick question?
Well, not really a question, but I got a small bone to pick with Baylin.
It has to be about baseball.
Hey, I'm ready to eat, so let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, no, it's not a big. It's just along the lines of comparing QBs and pitchers, because I was a pitcher. I'm a pitching coach. Played through the minors, played all through college and everything like that. And one of the things I used to always do is I threw a football. I played quarterback in high school. I pitched. And my career, went from there because I took up baseball. If I'd have had, somebody like you around back when I played, maybe it turned out different. Maybe it would have been a QB somewhere. I don't know. But no, I always try to encourage my guys to throw a football, whether it's warming up, get their arm strength up, anything like that. So when it comes now, I'm not a QB guy. I'm not a QB guru, so I can't claim that. But my comparison's more with the mechanics of it, as far as using your lower half, because you use your lower half a lot when you pitch. Mm-hmm. And that's a key component with any type of throwing motion is you're using the lower half. Not only are you going to preserve your arm, but you're going to get more out of your throws from it. Right. So I think there's a little more of a comparison with it, but that's not coming from a QB guy either. So
no, I think you're right when it talks about the weight transfer, because you're pushing off your back leg, but when you're talking about the stride, completely different. When you're talking about the mechanics, releasing the ball, completely different. Your arm, the way your arm movement goes, completely different. And then obviously picking up that leg and really reaching is all different. So those all go into the lower body throwing a baseball, but it has nothing to do with throwing a football, because football is more short, compact, and you obviously more torque, whereas the baseball is a longer stride, longer wind up, and then getting through your motion from different arm angles. So that's why I don't really like pitchers being quarterbacks, because they're so different. And if you see a lot of these quarterbacks when they're developing and they play baseball, they have that big long stride when they're trying to put power behind their ball, which is what you would do off the mound, pushing off and really driving. That is, of course, the opposite of what you want to do as a quarterback. You want to stay under base and really snap the hip instead of really reaching forward and driving towards your target. So it's a different mechanic there. And then obviously when you drop the ball like a Tim Tebow, or you start to see these baseball guys with the long windup, that's very bad when it comes to the short explosive mechanic that times up with your short step and your hip, explosion as a baseball to a football. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you see good pitchers become good quarterbacks and vice versa. But when it talks about the mechanic of the position, when you're looking at how you can really twerk and use that lower body, is a completely different feel from pitching to throwing a football.
Right. As far as that goes, I agree with you on that. But like with the movement, just the movement itself, I think you can draw a lot of comparisons, especially with the hips. But I mean, I guess I was just a unicorn back in my day, because I could do both pretty well. So
most pitchers are like, he's telling them to throw a football, and then when he walks off, they're like, "What kind of arm talent did this motherfucker have, dude? I can't, I can't do what he's at." I think that's interesting though, that you built up your arm strength or kept your arm active throwing a football. I think that's interesting.
No, I mean, it has more to do with your shoulder, your different release points, your different the way you can manipulate your shoulder into getting different arm angles and things like that. I mean, I was more of a 3/4 guy type of guy, but I mean, it always helped me stay loose. It also helped me build up, the arm strength well. I mean, it got me to top out around 96. So I mean, I think it did all right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you were just built different, Polk. You were just
everyone. You were just built. Most of his time right now. Yeah, he's built.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, he lifts houses in his spare time. So that's what he does. All right, listen, Coach, we appreciate you taking time out, man. I know how busy you are. It's about to pick up. You're training everybody in the state and beyond. So we appreciate
not everybody, because I clearly don't train Neiman Lawrence. We're working down there.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not just training. It's camps that he's asked to either guest speak at or guest coach at. When they have the Elite 11 regionals, when one of my buddies, Spotlight 39, like they've been promoting a lot of their camps lately. Baylin's usually the quarterback. It's not just when we say he's busy, it's not just him training individual quarterbacks. Like I follow him. He's busy as hell. He's gonna be humble, but he is quite busy, and that's just a testament to the work ethic and obviously the teacher that he is, where he's just as good in an individual setting one-on-one as he can be with a group. You know, that's coming in just for a weekend, or when UCF does their quarterback camps.
Yep.
This is the guy they call. So I think that's just a testament to his skill set as a coach and as a former quarterback to be able to relate to guys from 8th grade, from 7th and 8th grade, all the way up to, there's some of our quarterbacks we've liked will call him on a weekend when they're down in Florida. Yep. It's just a testament to him as a coach.
Appreciate
Excellent.
That.
Absolutely.
I'll go to God.
Yep, absolutely. And Coach, do you have anything you got coming up soon, or anything you wanna shout out real quick?
That's Spotlight 39. He's coming down. We're doing a camp in a couple weeks, so I'm gonna drive down at Lake Mary High School. And then I had my recent quarterback camp last weekend. I'm gonna have another one in February. And then I'll probably be starting to travel a little bit, like North Carolina, Texas, and start doing some stuff.
Hey, come up.
Yeah,
I'm up to Charlotte, baby.
I actually do a camp so I hired Kevin Olsen to coach in my camp. So I'm working with Kevin Olsen and Greg Olsen. So when I go up to Charlotte, they work camps with me. So I'm really close to their family, former Hurricane, both of them. Yep. But yeah, so I'm always in that Charlotte area, doing some stuff, and then I try to go to Texas and Dallas and Houston, and I work with Quincy Carter a little bit. So he's now back in Georgia, so I work a little bit with him. And then Kurt Warner, I've done stuff with, and Jeff Blake and all them guys. So I mean, I'm making my rounds, but that usually kicks up right in the end of spring. I have a baby on the way, so my wife is 37 weeks pregnant, so I got to kind of stay local right now, and then I'll branch out once my second baby's born, and we'll get locked in.
Yeah, when you come up to Charlotte, definitely I would like to know, man, so I can show up and be at the camp and check everything's out, man. Check things out. I definitely want to do that. Again, Pope, thank you, brother. Teach them kids, buddy.
I'll do my best.
Appreciate you. Everybody in the chat, we appreciate you. Thank you. All about that you.
Hey, believe in Carson Beck, because that's all we can do at this point. Go Kane.
Sir, I think I'm a believer now. Man. I think we're here.
We've been trying to convince him.
I think we're here.
Now
that's just why I was like, okay, that's why I said this was an impactful episode for me. Like I needed this. I know this was for the channel, but like this was for me.
Nice. I love it.